Welcome, everybody, to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios. I'm your host, Coach Steve Toth, and also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media, going on, I don't know, 12 years or more and 20,000 or more shows. Who cares anymore? It doesn't matter anymore. The numbers just don't mean anything anymore. But we keep doing it because I strongly feel, and so do my guests, that we need to spread the word about consciousness and becoming awake. So that's what we do here, and I want to welcome our very special guest for this evening, and her name is Gay O'Brien. Welcome to the show. She's joining us from that place where the kangaroos are roaming 24/7.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. And of course, we are streaming live on Hangouts, on YouTube Live, as well as at consciousevolutionmedia.com. So let's see, our theme for this evening is New Life Solutions, Passion for the Possible. And I absolutely love that theme. Why do I love that theme? Because it speaks volumes to me. And so Gay O'Brien is a life, a business, and an executive coach, and lots of other things. She's got lots of titles, but I'm going to take them all away right now. And I'm going to ask her, if I took all them away, which I just did, what's left? Who is really Gay O'Brien?
Well, that's a great question, Steve. I am me. I am, in essence, a being on this planet who is here to make every day the best I can be.
Awesome. Wow. That's a great answer. So I really would like to get as deep as we can get in terms of what New Life Solution is, what it does, and what do you mean be my passion for the possible? Because what is passion and what is possibility? Let's talk about those. Those are very important words in my vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. Well, Steve, I work with a lot of people. I do coaching, and fairly recently I coached a lady who I use hypnotherapy as one of the modes I use, and she was having some issues with some addictions, and she has told me that she has moved on from that now. So the work I do, I feel, is very powerful because it helps people get away from the things that are enslaving them towards the things that they want to do. So then they can see that something is possible. Whereas if they're stuck in some sort of addiction, they're just there and they really don't have a passion for the possible. So I see that as being part of my work, and I'm sure you do as well, to help people move away from what they don't want toward what they do want. So I coach people, I do workshops, and I also do a lot of media work as well. So that's some of the things that I do. I'm an author, best-selling author as well, and I write articles and that sort of thing. And yeah, so I believe, and I work with people all around the world. I do a lot of Skype coaching with people, and I work locally as well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you mentioned a couple of things there that got my attention, meaning you talked about you helping people through what they do want versus what they don't want. And for me, that's fantastic when people know what they want, because a lot of people that I have come across in my life have no clue.
Yeah.
they're just being banged up against against the rivers of life, and whatever turns out. And so it's interesting because the things that you mentioned there, what people want and what they don't want. I mean, don't take this in any weird way, but I am just really working on something really close to me right now, and that is getting beyond duality. And so what you presented there is what I do want and what I don't want, and that for me remains to be in the duality of nature, of humanity, that I feel puts us in another place where we're in jail. So do you have any recommendations or any ideas as to how to get out of these jails that we put ourselves into?
Yes, well, one of the other modes that I work with is a process called timeline therapy, and I help people get rid of all their baggage, get rid of all their limiting beliefs and negative emotions, because quite often they're set off by their triggers, like something will happen to them, they'll be in a conversation or they'll be out and about doing something, and then suddenly they'll get a trigger that makes them really angry because they bring up a memory from the past, and that can sort of head them off into a spin where they're then focusing on what they don't want. They're caught in some time trap, if you like, and they're doing something that they don't want to do. Whereas if they can release all of that stuff, then they can move towards their goals and what they do want to achieve. And I always say that people, even if you don't know what you do want, if you know what you don't want, that's a start, and then you can just start taking little steps towards, and just get a feel for how you're feeling about something that you're doing, and just take one step at a time. And as you're going along the road, if you feel that you need to veer to the right or left, you can do that as well. So I like your concept of duality, because quite often we don't know what we do want until we know what we don't want. It's a bit like saying, well, we don't know what the sunshine is until we've experienced the darkness. So we have to have both. Like, we can't just be constantly happy all the time. If we don't experience sadness, how are we going to know what happiness is?
Yeah, I certainly agree. But don't you feel that the reason that we're maybe getting into a kind of what I call our own jail, is because we resist one or the other. So what about the concept of maybe embracing both?
Well, exactly, and that's what we need to do. We need to embrace both. And when we get in, and the other thing you were talking about, being in our own jail, and that's why it's really important to work with a coach or a variety of coaches at different stages of your life, because even as a coach myself, and I've trained with some of the best trainers in the world, and you probably have as well, even when you've done all that, you're still inside your own head. You're still inside your own jail, if you like, although that's a pretty heavy word. You're still inside your own head, and I think that sometimes we need to bounce off other people to get a different frame on where we are actually going and where we are actually are at. And I do a lot of reframes with people. You know, people might say to me, or I'm scared, or I'm unhappy, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know where I'm going. And I say, well, you know, if you did know where you were going, how would that feel? So I can actually take them back on track so that they know exactly where they're going or where they want to go. So I find reframing is a really great technique that I use, and I use lots of techniques, as I'll probably talk about some of those on this show. So we can get out of our own jail when we've got coaches and friends and other people around us to help us move forward.
Fantastic. So why am I hearing myself? I don't know. So I caught something on your website that really got my attention, and you were talking about one of your purposes of your passion or your life is to have more enlightened world to come about. In the work that you're doing and the work that many people are doing. I guess I know that you're an NLP practitioner and a teacher, and there's lots of people that use those tools. And I'm just curious, what does an enlightened world looks like or feels like to you?
I think one of the criteria for me personally of an enlightened world is where we're not so precious about our own egos. We don't take things so personally. So when somebody says something, if we can remind ourselves that when they say it, it's actually about them, it's not about us. They may be directing it at us, but really it's about how they're feeling at the time, and it's about the sort of experience and the life they've had. So if we remind ourselves of that, to me that's a form of enlightenment, because we're not so bogged down in our own little reality, our own little experience, or our own memories. And so I think if we can do that, then there's a lot less anxiety, there's a lot less stress, and there's a lot less problems that we have with other people. And I think we have better interactions. And I think if we have better interactions, then we work together better, and that then enables us to create a better world. And I think, to me, enlightenment is really about creating a better planet for all, where we're considering other people. And so I think one of the ways to do that is to not be so hung up on our own egos.
And what I'm hearing there too is maybe you didn't say the word, but I think you meant it, which is not reacting. Because I think people are constantly reacting to their environment and reacting to other people.
Exactly, yes. They're
and,
yeah.
And you mentioned, I mean, the work that I think you're doing, and I just have I frame it differently, because I've done like this core issue work for like 3 years in the past for myself, and then I helped others. So that core issue work, I just want to go back for a second and just highlight it, because I feel that it's a very important work in terms of people willing to heal some of the things that happened to them when they were a child. I think a lot of our issues, like you mentioned, is really beginning from a place of being hurt as a child, and then we get programmed. So this is so interesting to me. It's almost like, do we even have a chance when we start out? We come into this world so beautiful. Like I witnessed all my grandkids to be born, and I'm about to have my number 6 in December, and based on where I am today, I'm going to have a completely different experience, I know, than I have ever had before. So I'm preparing myself to really connect to this new being in a completely different way than I ever have. And I just feel that pure beingness, that pure angelic beingness when we come into this world. And then as soon as we come out, we do this stuff that really that I feel really messes with us. Don't you feel that?
Yeah, well, the thing is that we're in theta brainwave up until the age of 6, so we're in this slowed down kind of motion, and it's almost like our brains are like a sponge. We just absorb everything that comes in, and when we have, say, 3 really bad, or what we perceive to be negative experiences, it could be that our mother didn't change our nappy at the exact moment that we wanted it changed, so we in our childlike perception, we decided that she didn't love us. So there's all those, whereas as an adult you wouldn't make that decision, but as a child you make these split-second decisions, and then you may carry that belief through with you, and you may say, well, my mother didn't love me. You may carry that through, and it may not even be true, but you've made that decision at such an early age. And as you say, we've had our heads messed with, if you like. But the thing is that as adult, another thing that I strongly believe in terms of enlightenment is that we need to take responsibility. And quite often we're blaming our parents, we're blaming society, we're blaming our neighbours, our friends, whatever, for things that have happened to us, rather than accepting responsibility and saying, well, okay, so that happened. What can I learn from that experience? Because if we didn't have that experience, then we'd really have nothing to compare it to, which is what we were talking about before, the duality. So by having that to compare it to, we can then move away from that towards something that we want. So we're always moving away from that experience, if you like, toward where we want to go. And if you believe that we've all been put on this earth for a reason, then maybe we had to have that particular experience and that kind of gave us the launch pad to then move forward. toward the life that we could possibly have. And the other thing is that we're not always in total control on this planet of our lives as much as we like to think we are as well. And I think sometimes we've just got to let go and go with the flow.
That's interesting. So how do we bridge that to the notion that we create our reality? How does that fit into that conversation?
Well, we do create our reality, certainly, because we, as we were talking about before, we've got all this programming that we created in the first few years of our life. So we've got the programming, all the information comes in from our daily lives. We make an interpretation, we make a generalisation of that situation, and we fit it into our brains, and we work out where we're going to go from there. And we make choices every day. We make choices about whether we're going to do this or whether we're going to do that. But at the same time, there's this other overlay about when we were born. You know, what constellation was in the sky when we were born, and did we really have any say over that? And and did we really have any say over our parents? So there's a lot of things that we do have control over, and there are some things that we don't, and it's a matter of, and that's the duality again, but it's a matter of, to some extent, going with the flow. And as soon as you're able to go with the flow, even though you're still planning things, you're setting your goals, so you've got that duality, you're planning but you're letting go at the same time, once you can let go and you're not so attached to an outcome, then things are more likely to flow your way as well.
Well, that's interesting, but I'm still hung up on something. So what I'm hung up on is, because I'm kind of realizing for myself that I am, and I want to run this by you to see what you're thinking. So what I am kind of going through right now is that I'm realizing that I am the programmer and I am the program.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
and I have created it all. So
exactly.
So
exactly.
So in that case, everything is within my control because I created it all.
Well, you did create it all, but then you didn't as well. So that's the duality. So I think that there are some.
So how did I not create it? Tell me.
How did you create it? Well, maybe you did. Maybe you did decide what constellation was going to be in the sky when you were conceived. Maybe you did decide that.
Well, didn't I create the sky and the constellation?
Well, you did, because we are all one. So you did.
Yeah. This is really juicy. Hey. This is amazing. So now what?
Well, we are all one, but at the same time, with the duality, we are all pieces that fit into the puzzle. So we're all pieces, we're all individuals, but we are all one. And because we are all one, that's even more reason why we've got to, I believe, why we need to work together to save the planet, if you like, or to create a better life, to save the planet from dying. I mean, in Australia at the moment, you may have heard about it, but we've got a lot of issues with our Great Barrier Reef. It's not in a very healthy state at the moment.
Yeah, but Gay, I created that too.
Well, exactly. So if you created it, you can uncreate it.
And so did you.
Yes. So I think we did create all that, and but on a day-to-day basis, I believe that as a coach, and I mean you as a media coach as well, we give people strategies, don't we, for helping them move forward and for helping them create the best life for themselves and their families. We do that, don't we? Even though we've got this duality going on and So
Yeah. So just to put that into perspective, so what I'm feeling about it is that we've got millions of people, running around, and I'm going to even change that. I'm going to change the name people. I'm going to change it to, we got millions of chemical robots running around the planet, bumping into each other because they're not awake. They're not conscious. And I'm not judging them because I used to be one of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it is just what it is. And I am them. Here we go. I'm making that loop. So I am them. And if you want to be honest, yeah, so there's the two of us here on the show, but there's really only one of us. And I just recently got that really for what it is, because I used to have other people tell me that there's only one of us in the room, and I thought I got it, but I didn't really. So so it's like in the present moment, this is our reality. This is all I have to go by. What you and I are doing right now, this is all there is for me at the moment, because I am living in the moment. So everything else is happening. Yeah, I'm creating all of that, but I am not aware of that. So you were telling me about the Australian reef, and I know I created that, but guess what? I'm not there. I've never been to Australia. I don't even know for sure Australia exists.
Yeah,
and I created it. Somebody could have told me and programmed me that Australia exists and this is what it looks like, and I've seen it in the media, blah, 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 but I never been there.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
How do we explain that?
Well, you've probably seen the movie The Matrix.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my favorite movies. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we do.
I went to the same school that those guys went to. Actually, those two guys both of them are women now.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
What an interesting world this is. I used to know them as two guys, and now they are both went through transgender transformation, and they are both women.
Wow. Fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. So much for the Matrix. Did you think this show is going to be like this?
No.
So really, I mean, I'm just, I'm just speaking from my own experiences right now, and it's just, I'm going through stuff right now so fast that it's like my head is spinning. And I'm having more and more of realizations that this has been like a game. The life as I know it is a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm now just becoming aware that I better know, and I guess I could say until recently, and I still don't for sure know how to play this game right, but now at least I'm aware that it's a game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am no longer feeling like a pawn, and
Exactly.
that's how it's been. That's how it's been. And,
exactly.
and now I'm realizing that, hey, there's a game going on here, and I created the game. And if I created this game, I should know what the rules are.
Exactly.
But I forgot. And isn't it true then? Isn't it true, Gay, that most people, especially the ones that I was talking about earlier, the people that are chemical robots, they completely forgot. And they knew at some point when they came into this experience of theirs that they knew how powerful they were, correct?
Right, and then they forgot. And that's why, that's right. And that's why I'm really passionate about the work I do, because really what the work I do is to wake people up, is to make them realize that they don't just have to be a stimulus response being. They can actually create what they want to create. And so I help them become aware that they're actually just reacting to situations, and that they can change that. And I just think it's really powerful work. And if you look at there have been some books written in the last, I'm just trying to think of the name of the author. It was an American psychiatrist, and he was talking about how he did these tests, sort of some sort of muscle testing, that showed that the planet is waking up. Like it is at a slightly high. I mean, obviously, if you look at the time of Jesus Christ, when people were sort of, there was a lot more. People would go to watch some sort of terrible thing happening to people, and people don't do that so much these days. So I think that I believe that we are becoming more conscious beings, and we are becoming more evolved, and we are becoming more caring generally. But we're left with a lot of really old legacies of and a lot of old programming that is still holding us back. So I think that the work that we're doing, you and I and everyone else in this industry, I think that the work we're doing is really important, because we need to help people wake up, because then they can be part of the game. They can be the rule makers and just take it as a game and not take it as, I mean, it's a serious game, but we don't have to take it.
They are. I just want to, it's not, I want to correct you. I just want to say they are the rule makers, and they are making the rules. They're just playing a limited game. That's all.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And I love those words that you used, helping them to wake up, because that is really the purpose of this network, is really that. You just said it in those two words, helping people to wake up. To wake up to what? Yeah. To wake up to who they really are.
Yes.
And how powerful they are. And
right.
I'm no different than them, and I'm no different than you. You have the same thing I have, because you said it earlier. We're one.
Yeah.
But how do we? What I'm kind of working on right now. How do we have it in our words and in our conversations and in the way we express? And that's another really important word, express. How do we express this so that it shows up in our communication? And I know communication is a really important thing for you. You have this big deal about communication, right? So how do we speak this? And when I'm saying this, I'm talking about the process of awakening and the process of being this powerful being that we are, that really is unlimited.
Mm-hmm. We need to carefully choose the words that we say. For example, I know this is an English thing and an Australian thing. If you ask someone how they are, they say, "Not too bad." Now, what does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
But it doesn't sound like it's very good, does it?
It does not. It does not make me feel really, really warm and fuzzy. Not too bad.
We need to. The words we use are really important. Not only the thoughts that we think. We need to be careful about, I believe, the thoughts that we think, but also the words that we say to ourselves, the words that we say to others, and even like you and I have been reframing our words a bit as we've gone through. When you use that word jail, and I'm thinking that, gee, that sounds really intense and really tight, and so.
Which word was that?
Jail. When you use the word jail, you said we're in our own jail, and yeah. So I think we've got to be. We need to use words that are going to make us feel expansive and light and open to opportunity and possibility. And I notice these days politicians are using words like, they're not saying difficulties anymore, they're saying challenges, and things like this. So I think that people are becoming more aware, and they are starting to use words that make them feel like they can do things rather than they can't do things. So I think that people are becoming more aware of the language that they use, but there's still a lot of room for improvement, and there's still there's still lots of people aren't people are largely still, I believe, unaware of the words they use. They don't realise the effect that it has on people. And after doing a lot of hypnotherapy, I can just see how powerful the words that we use are, and we can actually change people's lives in a single conversation just by the words that we use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I also wanted to have this this conversation with you about how much humanity is invested in objects. That it seems to me that a lot of people are very invested in looking for happiness and joy and everything that they want in life outside of themselves. Like, it seems like people have an addiction to go outside of themselves. And how do I know this? Because I did it myself. So how do you see that? Like, especially, you know, I actually, when I escaped from a communist country a long time ago, I wanted to go to Australia, and you guys didn't want me. So I'm still resenting that. Just kidding. They didn't want nobody. Australia didn't take anybody. I waited a whole year for you guys to say yes. I never heard that important word, yes. So I came to America instead. So so what do you think about all these outside object-oriented? And isn't it funny that programming language also uses object-oriented programming? Isn't that interesting?
Well, well, there's a few different things you've raised there, but in terms of we look outside ourselves because we're fearful of how powerful we really are, and so we don't want to look inward. And we look outside ourselves in many ways. We look outside ourselves in terms of distractions, like TV, like addictions, like gossiping. Like, there's lots of ways we look outside ourselves, as well as through, you know, the acquisition of possessions. And I think that's sort of starting to, people are becoming more aware. I mean, obviously, the advertisements in the marketing industry, they're not quite as, people aren't quite as ropeable, or really aren't quite as gullible, I should say, as they used to be. And I think people are certainly waking up to the marketing language that's being used. So,
it's programming, isn't it?
It is. And people are starting to wake up to that more. But people are still looking outside themselves, particularly in our culture. I mean, of course, they didn't do that in indigenous cultures around the world. They certainly looked inward, and they were much, they developed much more spiritually, whereas we developed much more in a technological way. So really, it's been a cultural thing, but then again, as we've chosen or wanted to become more enlightened, of course we've moved back towards those sort of cultures that have evolved in that way, such as the Indians and the Chinese and so on. So we've actually looked to other cultures to get that information, so that we can turn inward. And I don't know about you, Steve, but I've certainly used, I certainly use on a daily basis meditation myself to help me focus and to help me become aware of my thoughts and my feelings. So at any given point, I can tell you exactly how I feel. Whereas a lot of people know how they feel if they're really happy or if they're really angry, but they may not know how they feel if the feeling's not quite so extreme. So so I think that we are becoming, as I said, more aware, but we still have that propensity towards objects, because the politicians and the whole consumer society is always pushing it, because it seems like the whole industry is driven by it, doesn't it, by consumerism.
Oh, well, the entire surroundings. I mean, I don't care where we go. It's there. and it's been there, you know, for decades and decades. So it's like, how does anybody escape that? And does it need to be escaped, or does it need to be just embraced? Like
Exactly.
is it saying that we need to resist watching television? That's going to take us right back into jail, doesn't it?
Well, exactly. We don't have to resist it. We just have to choose the programs we want to watch.
Yeah. The same thing with the politicians. It's kind of interesting because we just started another show. It's called The Last Key. And I'm like putting myself up as the guinea pig, because the two things that I haven't done on this network, and I purposely have chosen not to, and that is politics and religion. And the reason I haven't done that is because I resist both. So I'd like to kind of get over that. Because I feel that now, knowing what I know now about myself and my process of awakening, I really choose not to resist them anymore. I am ready to embrace both of those, because I created them.
Exactly.
And so I'm just going to be proud of my creation, and I'm going to stop resisting them. So it's interesting that you brought up the politicians, but it's like, you know, everywhere that you go is the programming is present, and I have to remind myself at every moment that I created this program.
Exactly.
So I also know that you have written this great book about the NLP essentials for teachers, and I have something really dear in my heart in regards to kids and how the educational system works. Of course, I don't know how it works over there in Australia, but over here, it's not working at all. And why it's not working for me is because what we do with kids is we program them. From the moment that they enter into the school system, we program them and we test the heck out of them to make sure that they know the program.
Yes, exactly.
And there is no room. Of course, I can't generalize, because there's probably some teachers in some places where they actually do care about the kids' passions. Because for me, what the schools should be doing, well, what do I know? I'm just a creator. What the schools should be doing is looking out for their passions, because that's why we came here. What do you think? So what's in your book? Now I'm curious.
Well, why I wrote the book was I was actually working in the teaching industry myself, and I was. I
know it.
And I was managing a special education facility, and I had a huge staff, and teachers were really stressed, parents were really stressed, students were really stressed. And I thought, you know, there's got to be a better way of doing all this. And I knew it was all in the language and how we spoke to people, and how, you know, it was all in the body language, it was all in the physiology, how we're feeling, all in our intention, the whole thing. So that was when I decided to study NLP, and it had a really profound effect on me. And that was when I thought I have to reach out to, because I could see that teachers were coming into the industry and they had the best of intentions. They really did want to change the world. They really did want to do the best by their students, but they got caught up in this whole system.
Yeah, but hang on. They were programmed also.
Exactly.
And they didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas I knew that they were trying to program me even at the time, but I thought I can really, there's something I really can do, and I'll just tell you about a situation I was in. I had this, you know, we had students that were really quite stressed and came from very challenging backgrounds. And I had this one boy who was, he got up on the roof and he was ready to jump. And he was standing there, and I thought, I've got like a split second to change this, to turn this around. And I said to him, can you remember a time when you were really happy? And he instantly got down, and he said, and he sat down on the floor, and he said, Miss, I went to a farm when I was 3. And I said, well, what did you see there? And he started telling me this whole thing. So what I did was I changed his state. He went from feeling really angry, feeling really unloved, or whatever he was feeling, to this blissful moment when he recognised and remembered a time when he felt good. So I actually got him down off the roof, and then we were able to calm him down and work on him. And so just one phrase, you know, just one phrase was able to change his state of mind. And so that was what I found really powerful, working with my teachers to be able to do that. And so even though they've been programmed, we can use very, very powerful phrases to change things and turn things around. And it's a, you know, I mean, I'm not saying it is magical. It really is magical. Words are magic. And of course they can work the other way, can't they? I mean, we can say something and someone instantly goes livid. I mean, they can work that way as well. But if we can use language for good, it really can change people's lives. And I've felt that I've had a lot of feedback. I had some feedback.
So you just did it, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Good and bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what happens. But I had some feedback recently from a teacher in India, and he was using my material to work with some poor teachers in Indian rural villages, because, you know, he said that teachers are, you know, using an old system, an old outdated, probably English system, you know, and so I believe that spreading the word about using powerful language is really helpful with teachers, even though the system, as you say, is broken. Whether we like it or not, it's still enduring. So all we can, I believe that by empowering people through their words, they can empower themselves. Because if you say, I feel sick, you do feel sick, don't you? Like it affects your whole state. Whereas if you say, I feel strong, and you can muscle test for this, and your whole body feels really strong. So it really is about, it's about the language you use.
But here we go again. So I feel good doesn't exist without I feel sick.
That's right, because you've got to be able to compare it.
Either one of them exists without each other. So I'm just doing this for the benefit of the viewers. So how do we embrace both? Because what we tend to do is we tend to say, okay, so don't say, basically to me that means resist saying that you feel sick, and instead of that, say that you feel good. Which is what? Yeah.
The thing is, though, that because of our ancient programming, where, you know, we were initially we had to run away from the wild beasts, so we always tend toward the negative anyway. So all we're really doing by saying I feel strong is we're kind of taking the balance back from the negative to the positive. That's all we're really doing, because there's plenty of negative there anyway. So we're just kind of realigning, if you like, and we're setting up a new paradigm so that people aren't always looking for the negative. They're not always, you know, is the glass half full or is it half empty, you know? And instead of just always naturally looking at the negative.
Well, that's duality. That's duality right there. It's perfect form. It's half empty or half full. So if we embrace both, then there's no glass.
Yeah, that's right.
Now what? This is crazy. I love it though, because as I'm going through all this, right now, it's like I'm finding myself, and I always had a great sense of humor, but I'm finding myself laughing at myself more and more and more because this is all so funny.
Oh, totally.
It's like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
if the glass is not half empty or half full? And if you really think about it and wrap your head around it, then there's no glass.
No, that's.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it. So, so you on your website, I noticed that you have something up there, an ebook that you wrote about the 5 keys of inner success. And everybody wants success. It seems like, and we can come at this from many different places, but the places I want to come at it from is that, don't you feel like what in the world are people afraid of? Because everybody's afraid. Like, what the heck are we all afraid of?
We're afraid of our own power. So we know, deep down, we know we're really powerful, but we resist that. We think, and we tell ourselves, and we've been programmed to think that we're not powerful, but actually we're incredibly powerful. If we can change the world just by our thoughts, look at how powerful we are. I mean, you see.
But wait! Don't go so far. I got to slow you down. So, doesn't everybody realize that whatever reality that they created for themselves, they created it? Isn't that proof how powerful everybody is?
No, people don't realize that. They don't realize they've created their reality. They think that somebody has done something to them. They believe
like whom?
Well, society, their parents, whatever. They're willing to. They set the blame outside themselves, because if they don't accept responsibility, then they don't have to change, and they resist change. They're fearful of change. Some change they like. We all like novelty, but deep change they don't like. They don't want to have to change their habits or the way they see things or the way they relate to people. They resist that sort of change.
So I got to ask you this, because this is like, so tell me this, because I know you do a lot of NLP work. So do you think people are scared to know, to see, to feel their dark shadow side?
Oh, definitely. They don't. This we've got 4 sides. There's the side we know, the side we don't know. There's the side that we don't know that we don't know, and then there's the other side that other people see in us. So that we've got 4 sides, and so it's the side that, we like the side that we know because we've already accepted that, and the side that other people see, well, maybe we don't like that either. But the side that we don't know,
I do not care.
That's the side.
But I used to care, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah. So I think that we resist change, and because we have this vision of who we are and who we've been told that we are, and so it's all about expectations. I think we think we're this, who we think we are, and the idea that we're something different is pretty scary, really. And we don't want to accept that. Whereas, as you say, you just let it go and let it be, then it won't be as scary. But people are very scared, and I think it's because of their early programming. That very early programming that told them that they had to be good, or they had to sit down and do as they're told, or whatever they were told.
Very interesting. So let's talk about those 5 keys, and we don't have to talk about all 5 of them if you don't want to. We can just, you can just pick your favorites if you like and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are your couple of favorites of the 5, and then you can tell them where to go to get it, because I'm sure that will help them get to know you a little bit better as well.
Okay, so the 5 keys to inner success are you've really got to have a vision. And then that's number 1. The second one is you need to assess where you are actually
now.
So
what do you mean by a vision? Because that's a great word, but I think part of the problem we're having in this reality is that everybody has a different idea of what vision is.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's looking out onto the horizon. You know, imagine you're sailing on your yacht, and we do a lot of sailing, and you're looking out into the distance. And you're looking out because, you know, you were talking earlier about how we spend our days reacting to situations, and if you're doing that, you're forgetting about your vision because you're just kind of bumping up against the wall and, you know, bumping up against the next wall. Whereas if
we're putting out fires all day,
exactly. Whereas if you've got the
creating more of them.
That's right. Whereas if you've got the
and then we involve other people to help us put them out.
Exactly. Whereas if you've got a vision,
what a game! It's fantastic. Yeah.
You bounce over the you know, you're bouncing over them. You're not getting bogged down in them. So I think a vision lifts you up. It elevates you so that you don't get as bogged down in the day-to-day reality. And the vision will never be as you thought it would be. It'll always be different, but that doesn't matter. It's not the point of, it's like setting goals. It doesn't matter if, you know, the goal, you'll never reach it the way you thought you were going to. That doesn't matter. It's the fact that you have a vision and you're working toward it. That's the most important thing, because that creates buoyancy and that creates less resistance.
Is that vision for everybody connected to what they really want? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, yes. And I know people will say, well, I don't know what I want. But as I said before, you just take one step.
But wait. So from this duality game, we do know, however, that if people know what they don't want, and you are absolutely right, that people, if you ask people in general, make a list of all the things you don't want and all the things that you want, that you do want, the one on the right side will be much longer. So they know what they don't want much more clearly, correct? And then all you have to do is say, well, what's the opposite of those things that you don't want? Because obviously, the reason why you're resisting all this stuff, and what's interesting, and you said this, when people are focusing on all the things that they don't want, they just get more of that.
Exactly.
And all this stuff on the left-hand side never comes because they're too busy getting more of what they don't want, because that's what they're focusing on.
That's right. So it's about practicing the positive, moving away from the negative, practicing the positive. So moving toward what you want. So
it's really a lie that they don't know what they want, because they do know what they want, because it's the opposite of what they don't want.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's what they need to do.
And Are we having fun yet? Okay.
It's good. I think we're I think it's quite, you know, because as we clarify things ourselves, then it helps the listener to clarify things in their own mind as well. Yeah, no, that's
awesome.
Good. Yeah.
So the vision is awesome. So can you maybe recommend some helpful tools that they may want to use to make sure that as they're creating their vision, that it doesn't go bye-bye like a dream?
Yeah. Well, one of the techniques that I use with my clients is, and it's just so powerful, I use journaling. So what I get them to do is I get them to write out the scenario as to how that vision will look. So they write it all down, and then I get them to work backwards. Okay, so what's the very last step just before you get that you know that you're going to get it? How will you know you're going to get it? What's the evidence to show that you're going to get it? And then, so that's the last step. And then I get them to work backwards all the way back to now. So you reverse
engineer it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because if they start with now, they get stuck. They think, oh, how am I going to get from here to, climbing Mount Everest when I can't walk, when I'm sort of, really unfit or stuck in a job or whatever, wherever they are. How are they going to get there? Whereas if I say, well, if you start at Mount Everest, what's the very last thing you need to do before you know you've got it? Mm. So it's just an incredibly powerful way of doing it.
Mm. Does that have to do with the timeline thing that you were talking about earlier? Or no?
A timeline? No. Well, actually, yes. That's how I do. That's how I do futures timeline. So I do. Mm. I use timeline for going back into the past and getting rid of limiting beliefs and negative emotions. But I also use it as a future to support goals in the future.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's awesome. Yeah. So vision is cool. What's another one?
Journaling. So constantly journaling. So even if it's only a few sentences. So even if you're writing something down, which today seems to be so unlikely. So, for example, if you're just not feeling very well, and then you want to be really, really fit and strong, then you just keep writing that and you keep repeating it, and then you can you get that image in your head as well. So you're actually using a kinesthetic. You're writing, so you're getting the kinesthetic by writing. You're getting the visual by actually seeing it, and then you can even do sounds as well, where you're saying it to yourself. So you're hearing yourself actually do it. So, and it's really all about repetition. Even though you might be getting feedback in your environment that this is not going to happen, by constantly doing it every day, it will change the wiring in your brain, and it will set up new neural pathways that will really help you move forward. I've used it myself, and it's just so powerful. But you've got to do the work, You can't just sit back and do nothing and hope that it's going to happen.
But if we're the creator, why can't we just change this in a second? What's the holdup?
Well, we can, we can. Create it. You've got to create it. And if you're not creating it, if you're just not doing it, you're just saying, well, I can't do this or this won't happen, then you're actually not creating it. But if you are creating it, you can. But the thing is, you can't do it in a second, because the physical world is a lot slower. The mental world, you can change your mind, you can change your state in an instant, but physically, you can't, for example, change your body in an instant. If you've been really unfit, you're not going to turn into a marathon runner in a second. So the physical world takes longer to change than the...
Yeah, but Gay, anything is possible. Didn't we say that at the beginning of the show? Anything is possible, and that would be one of the possibilities.
That's true, and I use other techniques as well. And one of the techniques that I used to help with the physical body is, for example, if you really are, say, for example, struggling, going into doing a physical squat, you're standing up and you want to go down into a squat on the ground, and you're having trouble doing that, you visualize it first, and then you do it. So you do it first, and you have trouble with it. Then you visualize it, and then you do it again, and you'll just be amazed at how much better you do it the second time. Really powerful.
Awesome.
Incredible.
All right. So people want the other 3 keys to success. Where would you send them to?
Okay. So you can go to my website at www.newlifesolutions.com.au. And you can find me there, and they can get hold of the program and some coaching to go with it, and have fun with it.
Yeah, awesome. And then talk a little bit about some of the other things that you have in your toolbox. Like, what other things that you are involved in right now that would help people to awaken?
Okay. I think that, one of the things is meditation in the moment, which is, you talked about being in the moment. And so I think that if you whatever you're doing, whether you're involved in your community or whether you're involved in your work, your career, your business, whatever you're involved in, if you use all the techniques that I've just talked about, you will find that you'll do a better job at what you're actually doing. So it's really all about continuous improvement and wanting to create a better life for yourself and those around you. So it's a matter of keeping on, really, and having the faith to do that.
I just want to keep laughing. I don't care about the rest of it.
And laughing, well, it's a great tool. It's a great therapy, isn't it?
I made the commitment on this network more than once, many times, that I will live minimum 400 years.
Wow. Well, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Steve. That's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll do it. I don't know if you're going to be around to see me, but I'm going to do it. That's up to you. That's up to you. So, Gay, you've been absolutely fantastic. I love the work that you're doing, and you know, you have a great sense of humor, and you're very authentic and sincere, and also like to laugh. So you basically showed us many different sides of you. You know, there's some seriousness, there's some, you know, lightheartedness. Basically, it's all really good stuff. And if people that are watching this show, not just now, but watching it in the future, please keep coming back to Conscious Evolution Media. Keep watching this show. If you keep watching this show, it has the potential to go to the top 10 every month. And if it goes to the top 10, guess what happens? It can go to public television, or it can go to cable television, or who knows what other networks I'm going to be creating, because I'm a creator, right? I am the one. And just keep coming back, because this is the place that you want to come to if you're interested in getting to the next level from a chemical being, just a chemical being. Is that what we called it? Is that what I called it? What did I call it? A chemical robot. Yeah. If you're ready to go to the next step from being a chemical robot, this is the place you need to hang out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, you want to hang out with Gay O'Brien, so in Australia. So and she has Skype, so she can do it from anywhere. She has no problem communicating with anybody anywhere, as long as you're on this planet or some other planet. It doesn't matter. She works with everybody. Gay, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the network. For everybody, we're going to have another episode this weekend about the last key. So keep coming back, because this is like good stuff. And I'm having lots of fun. So what else is there?
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Gay. You've been awesome. Have a great next day, which is Saturday, and I'm waiting for my lotto numbers. What time is it? It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. I blew it for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.